5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Incoming!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Omnic Lab. We're a podcast that gears ourselves towards the game of Overwatch, but we want to bring to you, whether you are male, female, Omnic, or ape, whether you're allied in the tanks, or whether you have no idea which section of the game you belong to and you're just buddies with the hacker Sombra. We help you learn in the trial and error setting of our lab to help you get a little crazy. Maybe sometimes your team strats and our strats blow up in our faces as well as yours, but hopefully we'll brew up the team comp strategies and stuff that we are learning together and give you and ourselves a strategic edge as we plow to our best Overwatch gameplay. I am your host, Rob May, and this is episode number 37. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Andres Gomez. What is up, Andres?
What's up, dude? Glad to be back over here. I woke up a little under the weather yesterday. We had to postpone the show one day because of me. I'm feeling a little better today. My voice is a little off. If I have a random cough here and there or sneeze, you'll probably know that that's because of that. But other than that, excited to be here. There's a lot to talk about. I was having the Omnic Lab withdrawals. I feel like it had been a little too long since we had done Omnic Lab. I'm ready to talk Overwatch.
Indeed. And if you guys are watching the live stream right now or the video VOD, my glasses make me look like an old man because I have to tilt them in order to avoid some glare.
Deckard Cain.
I'm channeling my inner Deckard Cain in a quest log. And Carrie behind me is giggling as I'm...
Well, you guys recently got into Diablo, right? Carrie got into Diablo with you?
Yeah. We'll mention that here in a second, but at the top of the show, always want to give you guys a little synopsis that's always going to be in the description, just in case you missed it before we get too deep. But today, we're going to be talking about maximizing your in-game settings. But before we do that, we want to also talk about the underutilizing that has been claimed by Blizzard developers, especially Kaplan in a recent update, that Sombra is being underplayed and underutilized properly. So not just underplayed as a whole, but not really played even at the level that they are wanting her to be in the niche role. So today we want to really break down, Andres and I were talking about how we're going to label the show. Are we going to label this Sombra half-baked with computer settings? Or are we going to like hacking the game without cheating? I mean, like, there's so many weird ways to do this with all these crazy things and Koreans like getting banned in Korea for cheating, and we don't want to go that way. I want to go with Sombra, so like, why don't we just call the show Half Deep? And it's like, that just doesn't sound right. So we're gonna just call it Sombra in settings.
I wanted to call it Shallow, but Rob didn't think that was that funny.
Shallow Sombra in settings does not seem like a very self-promoting show, does it?
Well, that's why I don't do the marketing.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. If you guys want it, you can hashtag that sucker on Twitter and tweet at us. Go for it. But anyways, I know that settings is something that seems to be a lot. I don't know. We got like I've been getting questions ever since we had that one interview with CS, the first one, not the one that we just recently had like a week and a half ago, but we had been getting questions from console people like almost on a weekly basis. We have a weekly chat discussion about settings every once in a while in our Discord. Like, I don't know what day it's going to be, but you can just bank on somebody talking about computer settings, monitor settings, or mouse settings at some point during the week. And I always say the same stuff. I feel like a parrot. So I wanted to bring it up in the show with you guys. So they actually can make a huge deal, and there's even a few more outside of the game that you can use to optimize your mouse and stuff, and your monitor and your video card, and like there's just ridiculous stuff that we will not go into those, but we're probably just going to highlight some just general places to go look and some tools and stuff that you guys can find to go check it yourself. So hopefully this hodgepodge makes some sense. We do try to pride ourselves in keeping you guys with a tight show. But as of late, people are always like, more shows, and longer shows. So we're going to try to do a little bit without making it too much. But let's break down our
Why do
the
listeners that ask for longer shows sound like Deckard Cain?
Because I've been playing far too much Diablo. Deckard Cain, all 6 million of our subscribers. No, I don't know how many. I didn't bother to look today, but all you subs,
That'd be great if we had 6 million. I've always been waiting
I'll do a Deckard Cain for 6 million cosplay.
I've also been waiting for Deckard Cain to appear in Heroes of the Storm. I think that would be like the greatest thing ever.
He's definitely more mobile than Ragnaros, and Ragnaros got a spot, so it wouldn't surprise me anymore.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so let's talk about our competitive mode update as well as maybe just our weeks in general outside of Overwatch, if you'd like. Because I've been talking about Diablo, so why not? We can go on a little bit of a tight rabbit trail, I guess you could say. So what have you been up to this week?
This week I've been playing again with the team. We got back together. It's been a slow ramp up since we got back. I think it's been kind of slow for all of us, even for me. I've had a little trouble getting back into the game, and I think it's mainly because I haven't been playing it as consistently, or I haven't doing like the training regime that I was doing before. Before the end of the year, I was really concentrated. I would wake up sometimes in the mornings, and even if I wasn't gonna play Overwatch or anything, I would just jump into the training mode and put in like a half hour. I put in like some music and pull out McCree, do practice my headshots, and just kind of like every day would kind of like reinforce it. But after the holidays, it was kind of like, man, all these New Year resolutions and stuff got a hold of me, and
RIP resolutions.
I gotta get back to the training, dude. But other than that, we've been still trying to improve as a team and stuff, but we just haven't been gelling as we had before the end of the year. I don't think it's like a problem of any of us individually, but more of, we gotta put our heads down again and put in the work. And especially me, I gotta really get back on it, especially because I'm playing a lot of the very mechanical roles like Soldier or McCree, where your aim kind of has to be spot on if you're gonna be playing on those. And just not playing Overwatch consistently every day, like you can feel it. I feel like it's almost like a really virtuous guitarist that plays like really crazy stuff. Like he'll have to practice 5 hours a day, and the day that he doesn't practice, his fingers feel like super stiff and stuff. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel sometimes.
Good old Banjo-Kazooie Rust Bucket Bay for your fingers.
I got the rust. That's the
callback.
But yeah, other than that, really enjoying some of the other heroes. This week I had a really awesome experience with Sombra, and it's kind of one of the reasons why I was excited to bring her today into the show and discuss it a little bit. And plus the update from Jeff talking about how they felt Sombra and her state was really timely, so it works out. We'll talk a little more about those anecdotes in a little bit, but how's that been your ladder experience, dude?
So as you guys know, I was supposed to get my laptop replaced basically by getting this brand new spanking desktop. Basically it would have been yesterday I was supposed to get it. Well, those of you that have been keeping on top of things on Twitter and Discord, especially you patrons, know that it has come, and it came super early. So it came like Saturday, and everything else came Friday. So super early, got everything from the monitor, the desktop, to the keyboard. So I've been doing setup all weekend long. So I only played quick play, but yeah. So setup. I built the desk. If you guys are watching the VOD, you can see this nice bookshelf behind me. That's brand new. We bought that and set it up, and I had to build it. So luckily the computer was pre-assembled, so I didn't have to do any of that crazy business like assembling a computer on my own. But this thing is a monster, and let me tell you, going from a gaming MSI laptop to a 1080 GTX video card with 32 gigs of RAM and a 144 hertz display is mind-blowing. Not just to play Diablo 3, like I actually have found, which I'll get to in a second, but let me tell you guys, I will be gushing every week even more for how awesome and thankful I am for you guys in Patreon just really supporting the show, because this is exactly the type of stuff of increasing show quantity that I can do with the money that's donated. It sounds selfish, right? Andres, like it sounds selfish to like start financing a computer and buying these super expensive things, but it's like, you know, if you really want the show quality to be at the top notch, you just get the best stuff. And it's not that we're able to have the liquidity of buying the stuff right away, right? Like we are financing this. It's not like how much money we're getting on Patreon is going straight to the show, like that much. But you guys get the picture, and I won't blab on about it. But I'm very thankful, and I know that some of my allies are. I played a little bit with Svor and Bus Driver, who are kind of like my two regular patrons that are just on my time zone online to play with a lot of times. And man, let me tell you, because of the new stuff, I hit 42 to 47% hook accuracy on Roadhog. And if you guys have been listening for the last at least 10 shows, you know that Rob playing Roadhog, that sentence has never been uttered. So it's been a lot of fun. I was just like freaking out, shots and sleep darts, and just like, this is the new norm, guys. It's like super hard to like wrap my brain around that this is what Overwatch is going to be for me. It's like a whole new game. So I've really been enjoying it. However, Bus Driver has a weird work schedule. So basically every 6 weeks he works 2 different shifts. So this is the 2 weeks where he kind of just works at the wrong time and can't really get on with us. So I'm waiting. I'm like 1 week out for being able to do that with him, but he's kind of trying to make it work. And then Svor had his computer bite the dust on him. Just got it back up and running today. So I haven't been able to play with those guys. But Carrie and I have been on the hunt for a long time since Overwatch released to find a game that we can play, because she gets really crazy motion sickness for a lot of games like Warcraft when we started playing Warcraft for a long time. So we couldn't play for very long together. But Diablo 3, fixed camera, over the top. Talked with Crispy, talked with Andres, talked with some cool people out there. We did the trial version, loved it. So Carrie's playing that on my old laptop. Still somehow able to work with that. I need to figure out how to get the hard drive out and send it out to get it fixed and replaced. But I'm excited, guys. It's been a great week for Overwatch. It's been a great week for gaming. Finally found something that you can game with your wife is a big milestone. And for those of you wondering, Diablo is only $10 right now, and the expansion is another $10. So for Carrie and I, we dropped $40 for 2 games fully expanded for Diablo 3. It's a great way to go play with your significant other.
Yeah, right. So right now it's a great time to get into Diablo. Glad you did, dude. I've been playing Diablo since it pretty much came out, on and off. I've never been like super hardcore about it, but I've always really enjoyed the game and kind of like the system, like the grindiness, and like, you know, you grinding your levels and your gear and making your character as best as possible. Yeah. I have quite a few characters. I was checking the other day. I think I have like 400 total hours in that game or something like that. So I've really enjoyed it, but it's been over a period of like 5 years, right? Since it like came out. I don't play that much anymore, but I recently got into it since all of you guys have been getting back into it. We made a hardcore character with Crispy, one of our admins, and been playing up there with him. Yeah, it's hardcore is actually pretty fun. We won't talk too much about Diablo because this is not a Diablo podcast, and we're not trying to like endorse Diablo over here. But it is a fun game. I mean, it is what we
commenting about it.
It is kind of what we've been playing lately. So yeah, some of the people were saying like, "What, Diablo 3 podcasting coming?" I was like, no more podcasts for a while. We have enough in our plate with Omnic Lab. Yeah, this podcast has gotten big enough that it's almost like a full-time job sometimes.
But it's a good full-time job. Let me tell you, this community is amazing. Speaking of, Andres, why don't we tell the folks at home who our diamond level scientists are? We actually have a total of 4, but 2 of them have cleared with payments. So we have a new one that is pledged this week, and his name is...
We got Ben W, or new diamond level scientist. And we also have, sorry, did I mention the wrong one?
No, that's right. Sorry, I said it weird.
Oh, okay, cool. You kind of like cut out a little bit with Skype there. You just said it sounded like a robot. It was like, oh, this is the wrong one. But basically, Ben, thanks so much. Welcome to the crew, man. Glad to have you over here. Glad to join the team. We also have our super awesome Crispy, Chris C. He is one of our admins on the Discord. You can find him on twitter.com/crispyrc. You can also find his stream at Twitch TV/RC Crispy. And we also have our longtime diamond level patron, Magic. You can find him on twitter.com/abitlikemagic. We also have a couple new patrons too. Joseph E, Jim T, Infinite Number 1, and Oliver M.
Thanks so much, guys. Welcome to the squad. It's been amazing journey with the people that are there so far, and we're glad to add more to the squadron. And especially at the end of the month when we get paid, when your payments get processed, and then a couple days later we get paid from Patreon. Then we start shipping out rewards, perks. Here's the stuff. And don't forget, if you guys are at the diamond or platinum level, to check out Andres's VOD submission guide, because you have qualified for VOD reviews. Andres is going to be rolling those out. We got actually a few people like Massive, who has been playing with Andres. He's doing free VOD reviews the next day after our audio recording of this. So probably not by the time this is hitting the live servers for our iTunes and stuff, but I'm sure that he will be doing it again. So you guys hop on a Discord, try to find people in our coaching channel. People are always wanting to do VOD reviews and all that. So just let you know, that's the channel that you need to go to on our YouTube to see how to do it, how to submit them, so Andres can edit them with his epic pen application and show you guys some good positioning.
Yeah, so make sure you submit those. There's going to be a couple of them coming out this week. There's already the first one out. So if you guys want to check it out, it's on our YouTube channel. You can check my first Patreon VOD review, and stay tuned for a couple more to come out. If you're interested in submitting your own VOD, make sure you check out the little guide in our YouTube channel and send it over.
Absolutely. So we're going to utilize the news section today as basically only focusing on developer update. There's a little bit of other news in there, but today we wanted to try to focus primarily on this. I think we're trying to cut out a little bit more of our news section and focus more on the strategy again, because that's what you guys are really into. But again, a lot of news sometimes will overlap with the strategy section. So the developer update that we got this week from our Lord, oh Captain, my Captain, Jeff Kaplan, he says, why no? He wanted to talk about PTR, basically. Why PTR? Why no console PTR? Why are there no incentives for using PTR? And then why are we making the changes that we're making, which is what everybody always wants to know. So let's just start with the very first one. So why no console PTR? The short end of this one is very easy. It's certification and approvals. There's no other reason. Sony and Microsoft have different regulations and stuff with how they operate. He mentioned goals and achievements and other things that happen on the console, and that's why they roll it out on PC to test it, and then they roll it out as a final copy on everything across servers, across consoles, across PC. Okay, and then Andres, did you get a chance to check out why he said no incentives for PTR?
Yeah, I got a chance to watch the whole video. I think that most of it is very self-explanatory, honestly. If you want to go check it out, Jeff does a great job of explaining all of these points. I don't want to dabble too much into all of them. Sure. The main thing I want to focus on about Jeff's conversation is the one thing that he said about Diva Roadhog, which we lightly talked about on our last show with Skyline. I think we were on the ballpark with our discussion about Diva and Roadhog. I think that with Jeff's address of this topic this week, it kind of like clarified and sedimented that yes, Roadhog's hook is in a weird position, but it was really cool the way that he put it, because Roadhog's hook was unfair both for the victim and Roadhog sometimes. It was like unfair both ways, and like a lot of people were giving Roadhog a lot of flack, and personally I give Roadhog a lot of flack too, because I hate the hook and I hate the way it works. And people in the Discord
Mm-hmm.
know how much I hate it, because I'm like complaining about it all the time, because that's like the one
The
thing
only
that
time you
kills me.
speak in the Discord is to
Yeah,
whine about Roadhog.
that's like the one thing that freaking kills me in this game. Like I can dodge everything else, but for some reason I cannot dodge that hook. Even if I'm like on the other side of the map, like it'll get to me. And I love a little joke that he puts at the end of the discussion where he's like, "Yeah, now this way you won't get hooked from Oasis to Ilios next time." It's like classic Jeff. But anyways, likewise with Diva, he also addressed that she's doing a little bit too much, and I definitely agree. I think we mentioned that on the last show
Yeah.
with Sky. She's just too versatile, and she can do a lot of things right now. She can fill a lot of roles on a wimp, and like she has no drawback. Basically, she doesn't have to reload. She has huge mobility. She has huge ways to mitigate damage and keep herself alive. It's a hero that can do too many things. So both of those address, we touch on those lightly. I think they're going in the right direction, moving very cautiously. But the one thing that caught my attention the most was when he brought out Sombra. And they did mention that they think that maybe Sombra might be a little bit toned down, but they want to be very cautious with the way that they tone her up. And the reason for that is that they don't think that she's being played at the full potential. There's still something in there that we are missing. There's still a playstyle that is not getting exploited by the masses. Maybe there's some people out there who have figured it out already, especially at the higher ranks, where people have spent a lot of time playing her, but it's not a well-known playstyle. And interestingly enough, I've seen some Sombras this week, and they're starting to pop up a little more, and I can definitely see what he's talking about. He classified Sombra almost as a support DPS. He said that basically Sombra,
Disruptor.
yeah, is a disruptor, and a lot of people were playing her as a pure DPS and wanted to have buffs on Sombra that were pure DPS buffs, right? Like, hey, let me get a little
Yeah.
less spread, or let me allow me to do more damage with my bullets so that I can kill people quicker, like Tracer and stuff like that. But the honest truth is that I don't think that that's what they want for Sombra. That's not their plans for this hero. And even though she's set in the attackers category, I mean, from what we've seen from Overwatch, those classes are very um objective, and they're not really hard classes. They're more there to kind of like give you a initial sense, especially if you're coming into the game. But they're not really like hard definitions of the hero. So having said that, I wanted to jump into a little Sombra discussion and talk a little bit about her, and maybe what is it that we're missing about the hero. And I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on this discussion, both in the Discord, or you can tweet at us at the show and just let us know what your experience has been with Sombra. Have you got good experiences with other Sombras? Have you done good plays? Have you discovered things that you have done that other people have not? I know there's a few of you in the Discord who really like her, like Shockmaster, and you've been playing a little more. But let's jump into it. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about Sombra is the thing that Jeff mentioned, the assault support or a DPS support, a disruptor as she is. Like, that is more of a specific category than attacker, right? A disruptor. And I think this word is super important. And I'm going to go into a little anecdote here that I had this week on Sombra. I was playing competitive just by myself, solo queue. And the first game, they pick a Sombra. The enemy team has a Pharah and a Zen. So I'm like, well, let me just go McCree. And the rest of the team was all triple tank. It was Pharah, Diva, Roadhog, and Reinhardt. And we're like, well, this is gonna be hard. But we're still like trying it out. I'm killing the Pharah, taking care of her. And once Sombra had EMP, she just lets the team know, I got EMP, I'm gonna get in the middle of them, because they're playing triple tank. They kind of stick together, right? All of the tanks are not gonna divert from each other a lot. So it was really easy for her to just get behind them. And I was on high ground. I guess I should mention we were playing on my blanking out, the London map where Mandata gets killed.
Kings Row.
Kings Row, yeah. We were playing there, and I was able to get into like the very back stairs from the point that lead to that little balcony up top. And I had my Deadeye.
Yep.
And when she EMP'd in the middle of them, it was like no shields, no Diva Matrix, no boosters for her to like come mess me up. There was no sleep dart to be thrown at me. And like from playing a lot
Zen
of
shields.
yeah, no Zen shields,
Zarya stuff.
no Transcendence, no nothing. And from playing a lot of McCree,
Nada.
like, you're so used to like the second you pop your ult, basically for a mountain of ability to just like to be thrown at you. it's just like
Mount Saint cooldowns.
every cooldown in the game that can be thrown at you will be thrown at you when you're doing your Deadeye. So it was so refreshing to just be like, oh my God, I can actually Deadeye from up here and there's nothing they can do. What's more amazing was how they were so unprepared for it. It was like deer in the headlights, right? Just like staring at me from down there. Reinhardt had no idea what to do. He's like, where is my shield? Like,
now what?
Brain fart, totally. And like everyone else wasn't prepared for it, so they couldn't like get out of it fast enough. I get like 4 kills, 2 of them on like their main tanks, and like I killed the Ana. Killed the Ana in the back, and I think I got the Pharah too. And like the other 2 couple like were able to scatter away, but after that point, like it was so easy for my team to like gush in and like take care of things.
Jeez.
And honestly, McCree is just an example. It's a very anecdotal thing. I'm not trying to say like, guys, McCree and Sombra are the new meta. Not at all.
New meta.
That's just like what happened in that game. But it just so happens to be that that was totally enabled by Sombra's innate ability to cancel all of abilities for a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of gets you to wrap your brain a little bit around a slightly different dynamic of combinations and like angles of what you can do here, and even in the attack capture point first half of King's Row. So you have a very specific example, but you also have a very specific scenario that you have as an anecdote for something that can work or did work in that scenario. So that's good.
Absolutely. And EMP, like after seeing that, it's such a strong initiation tool, especially on a coordinated team that can plan ahead and just use the EMP to make sure that their push doesn't get countered. Because let's face it, at this point in Overwatch, defense has gotten pretty decent at timing ults and at reacting to ults. Like Zenyatta's now know when to pop their Transcendence. Like if they get Graviton or the Genji pops the sword, like Zenyatta automatically know. Or if Soldier starts ulting, Lucio pops his barrier and Diva flies at you with a Matrix. Like it's common knowledge that these things happen now, and like the majority of the public is playing under these rules. But what happens when you're able to take away some of these defenses? The same thing happens with, for example, Soldier Nanovisor. Like Soldier and Nanovisor are very counterable, especially by people like Diva, which are super common. You just put a Matrix in their head and that's it. And in this case scenario, sometimes you don't even need the EMP. It's like just go hack the Diva, and like as soon as you know that Diva is down, or the Reinhardt. Like a lot of the matches that I played with other Sombras this week, and it was strange because I actually played with like 4 or 5 different Sombras in during like separate sessions, all in solo
That
queue.
is crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
That's
and
a lot of Sombra.
what is even crazier is that in 3 of the games, nobody complained about it. And like I was baffled. I was like, nobody's complaining about Sombra right now. Okay, we might have a chance.
To rage quit in the
Yeah, we
first 10
might
seconds,
have a chance. And we won 2 of those games. The other one we lost, and the 4th one, when the person kept complaining about, we also lost that one because everyone got tilted at that point. So it wasn't much. But
yeah, that's a mental issue at that point.
2 very successful games with Sombra, and the one that we had the most success in was obviously the McCree one. But the second one, the Sombra was playing really, really well on Temple of Anubis, and she was on top of that Reinhardt. She was like, as soon as she could see the Reinhardt and have an opening, she would get behind him, hack the shield, and like there was no need to break it at that point, right? Like you didn't need to like be
Just
super,
move in.
yeah, you didn't need to be super focused on the shield. You were just like, oh, Sombra hacked it, we can move in, let's go, boys. It was really effective.
Yeah, it gives you a 6-second window. That's a long time.
Yeah, and he can't charge you. He can't sonic boom. He's like pretty defenseless at that point. And sure, he can still get healed, but I think what's more important is that a lot of heroes are banking on that shield being up, and once it goes down, they're very vulnerable as well. So sometimes it's not even a matter of like focusing the Reinhardt, but it's just a matter of deactivating the Reinhardt. In this triple tank meta with Ana grenades and like super high burst healing, Reinhardts are really hard to kill, especially if they're not diving at you. If they're playing safe and they're holding the line, they can be really, really resistant. So, and like going in with a Reinhardt there defending the point is actually like really dangerous too, because Reinhardt can deal a lot of damage and can also mitigate a lot of damage.
Very resilient.
Exactly. But if on the other hand, you just kind of like deactivate him, then he's just like a huge pile of metal walking with a huge hammer, but can't do much to really protect his allies anymore, and gives you a huge opening at that point. And you got to remember that Sombra can also deal a lot of damage, and her clip is huge. So she's not only like deactivating and then that's it. Her role is done. Is like deactivate, and now I can support my DPS and my rushing team get a kill on their backline because, you know, I'm already here and I actually have escape mechanism if things go sour.
And if you guys are curious for some of the hard numbers just offhand, if you are at 25 meters or above, you're only good, and you actually happen to hit the entirety of a spread over the course of a second, which is 20 rounds a second, right?
Yeah.
So if you can hit 20 rounds a second at 25 meters, you're already a god, but you're only going to dish out about 45 damage. So that's a max fall off damage. But if you can do what Sombra is mainly intended to do, landing most of your shots. This is if you land all of your shots within a 15 meter or less range, in 1 second you can deal, over the course of 1 second, you can deal a total of 160 damage with 20 rounds a second. Okay.
Yeah, she has a decent amount of damage.
It's a lot.
It's not as bursty as Tracer. I think it's a little more paced because she also fires a little slower.
It's definitely more paced.
But I mean, she can definitely do some damage, especially if you're getting those headshots.
Yes, absolutely. So she does 20 rounds a second and has an ammo of 60. So she has a lot more of sustainability to that damage. So basically over the course of, 3 full seconds, you have 160 times 3, which is 480 total damage that you're throwing at something in the 15 meter range. So the other thing that is really important to Sombra damage, especially on offense, on capture point or payload, whatever you're on offensive side, but the fact that she can see and monitor you behind walls when you're at low health, 50% or less, means that you're more annoying than a mosquito. You're at that point, you've turned into a part-time invisibility hunter, right? Like you can literally do your own thing a lot of the times on Sombra, and that's kind of in essence what you're doing. It's essentially the best way I've seen to approach looking at and interpreting how Sombra is played is actually looking at Symmetra, because Symmetra does a lot of things on her own, even though she's supporting the team, doing something in and of herself, kind of more isolated, setting up sentries somewhere to get her ultimate charge, whether it be on the choke or in a spot where the enemies are frequenting, giving that, that big unit of giving everyone 75 health is a big boon to the team. But she kind of has to go and babysit that because the teams are essentially fighting 5v5. They send a flanker after finding that thing, and then you have to defend it. So it's like a little mini game that you play on Symmetra. It's essentially the same thing, only you're a little bit more involved with your mini game of not dying and hacking something and getting out. And then when the hack is done, you can maybe support your team, and if you miss the hack, then you can go heal up, go back in, and try to be an annoying gnat and finishing off 50% or less targets. So you have your own mini games on both of those heroes.
That's an interesting little
Andres, did you have any counter arguments to that?
No. That's an
That's just how I was interpreting it. Okay.
How I started to see Sombra, it's more like, rather than her being like an assault DPS like Tracer and Genji kind of tend to have like a more solo mentality sometimes. Like, sure, you should be paying attention to when your team is engaging and that sort of thing, but you just have the innate ability to get anywhere in the map that you want really fast and kind of like get kills at your will. Sombra, I think that a lot of people were trying to play her like that in the beginning because, let's face it, she has invisibility, so she can get in the back. She has the teleporter, so she can actually get out.
Sure.
And but here's the thing, though, her mobility is really, really limited. She's not like Tracer that can like blink from side to side in the middle of the battle and then backtrack to like get out of there. Or Genji that can double jump, get on top of buildings, climb walls, and dash at his will everywhere he wants. Like, those are really high mobility.
Those are instantaneous movement, basically.
Yeah, that you can actually like dodge attacks with all the time. Sombra has none of these capabilities. Sombra is very targetable, and her model is like a little bigger than Ana, so it's not like she's mega squishy. She's more like a around McCree, I would say. Maybe McCree's a little bigger, but her model is not that hard to hit. And on top of that, she doesn't have any like speed abilities or anything like that. So as soon as they look at you and start shooting at you, if you don't have any cover or if they come after you, you basically have to teleport or invis out and try to get the hell out of there as soon as possible. You're not gonna be able to kind of like dance around enemy heroes like Genji and Tracer can. And I think that's a lot of the confusion or frustration from players trying to play her as a pure DPS, whereas like, why would I play Sombra instead of Tracer? But if instead you see her more as an engagement tool, kind of like sometimes people see Roadhog, you get Roadhog to hook somebody, you get the pick, and then you move up. Rather than like the concept of getting a pick, you more of like try to dissect what their defense is at the moment. Yeah, and you disable the person that is important. If you can, obviously, hacking sometimes it's a little hard to pull off if they see you when you're doing it. And I think that's one of the reasons why they want to lower the cast time on the hack, just so you're able to pull it off a little more consistently in like really tight situations. But basically, you're allowing the rest of your team to capitalize on your disabling, right? If you disable like key targets, even like a person like Ana or the Reinhardt shield, the Diva mech, if you disable the Zarya, that's huge sometimes too, because you got to remember that without shield, Zarya is actually without shield, Zarya is very, very vulnerable. You can actually eat her up alive because she's also a big framed hero. So it's more of a hang out with your tank and frontline, hang out with the Tracer and the Genji, and like work with him to allow him to get the pick, right? If you hack that Ana, like Tracer can just come in and kill her in a second with you because
no dart, no biotic grenade.
You know what I mean? Or even like Zenyatta is easy to kill anyway, even if you don't hack her. But likewise with any of the tanks, right? Just disabling in the front line and allowing your Reinhardt to win the shield battle immediately without even having to actually win it, right? You just neglected at all times.
Yeah. She's got that kind of the element where it's not quite as good as Sleep Dart in your own mind's eye, but at the same time, it's somewhat better than Sleep Dart because it operates in a different venue, if that makes sense. So Sleep Dart completely removes someone for a fight for a certain amount of time, but only if you can land it and it doesn't get, eaten by Matrix, hit by a shield, blocked by a Zarya bubble, etc. Right? But the hack is something that completely removes the capability of using things outside of your primary fire. So essentially is like the closest thing that I was thinking of was like, if you guys are Final Fantasy nerds like me, you have blind, you have maim, and then you have like maim is like a disable, and then you have sleep, right? So sleep is really powerful, but maim is almost as equal in value and ability, and yet still kind of not as good. You know what I mean? Just strictly on a theoretical and by paper, but in practice, especially in shooters and not turn-based like Final Fantasy-esque stuff, it's pretty interesting. And I know that a lot of you guys are going to be doing two things on this. So the first thing is that Andra's saying that she has no mobility. You guys are going to be running to the comments, running to your email, putting down your coffee and typing in an iTunes review and saying, she has 2 abilities that have mobility. What are you talking about? Like, well, she has, not only does she have a wind up for invisibility, if she is shot by any stray fire, that speed boost is gone. And the speed boost is usually made for a quick way to reposition behind enemy lines without being detected with footprints, foot sounds, as well as being able to just kind of position right for your ultimate at all, let alone like in the right spot in between the enemy team without getting shot. I think that's the ideal situation for that. And then if you can get it off while getting under fire from somebody like McCree, who has to aim his shots, if you can kind of do a little juke, little football deke, back and forth, make sure you don't get shot by the McCree as you're casting that little channel, you can get out of there and kind of luck out. But the other ability that she has, which is the translocator, I've seen and watched people use that thing in the weirdest ways. I'd say that's probably the closest thing to saying like this is your get out of jail free card on Sombra. This is also your, I think I'm gonna go to this spot and I'm gonna stay on a high ground before I drop down, and then I'll wait for my cooldown to recharge and kind of pepper some damage, and then I'm gonna leave the next one up here. I'm gonna go down, invis, EMP, pepper him a little bit until I'm about to die, and then pop back up on the high ground and split, So you can use the thing in like almost a 2-step approach of how you use the translocator. And the second thing is, I know that a lot of people notice if you're in the Discord community, you guys know how much I hate Sombra because I play at gold and I play at platinum, and there are some super bad Sombras where I'm playing at. And not only having a underutilized and underplayed player or hero means that people get super salty when they see Sombra, and you definitely know within the first 5 minutes of the game whether the Sombra is going to be good or bad, usually by just like watching how she's playing and watching how the team is supporting it, and the mentality of my own team just disrupting from a hero pick is just super aggravating. So I do not like Sombra, and this is really hard for me to talk about her because I just don't want people to go out and play her because she is very difficult to do the things that Andres and I are proposing here. But
well, I think it's a matter.
I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. But like, what do you want to counter with that?
Sure. Well, I was just gonna say that I don't necessarily think that Sombra is one of the hardest heroes to play. It just takes a change of mentality of how you're playing her, and that's kind of like why I wanted to have this discussion of give Sombra a second chance, but maybe don't play her like you were playing Tracer, or maybe don't try to force her to be like the main DPS where you're trying to get all the picks. Maybe try to do it a little more mindfully of really exploiting your abilities to rightfully advance your team. Like if you're playing Sombra and you see your Reinhardt having a Rein battle, you have the ability to win that battle for him on the spot, for not only for your Reinhardt, for like your entire team, right? If they don't have to, if you still have your shield almost at full health and they lose their shield, then suddenly you can advance your front line really easily, and they're gonna be in a lot of trouble at least for 6 seconds. 6 seconds, and in this game, 6 seconds is a lot. Like a lot can happen in 6 seconds.
It's a long time.
Or just being aware of things, right? Like if you see the Mercy coming back and you know she's gonna get that rest, and good Mercies can be really squishy and hard to kill, but guess what? Your hack, it's not hard to land. It's kind of like Winston kind of thing. So as long as you're aiming at her and she's kind of like flying by you, you hack her, she gets to the point and she's like, oh, why can't I ult?
And she can't Guardian Angel to get out.
And she can Guardian Angel to get out. And that's a very specific situation, obviously. But that's kind of like the sort of thing that I'm talking about. just to touch a little lightly on the point that you said that she has no mobility and people might give me flack for that. What I mean more by that is she has a lot of mobility to get in and out of the fight. Like her teleporter is an insane mobility tool, and people who get really good at aiming that thing can basically get anywhere in the map and be very, very unpredictable with their positioning. But at the same time, both of those abilities have huge cooldowns. It's not like Tracer's Blink, or even Genji's Dash was only 6 seconds, I think, or 8. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But basically, he has double jump and climb walls. I mean, you can like confuse your enemy and get into a lot of places with him. Likewise with Tracer. But with Sombra, once you're in the middle of the fight, unless you blow one of your huge cooldowns, one of your huge mobility cooldowns immediately, you have no way to like dodge there like while you're fighting. That's kind of
not usually meant for dueling. They're not like dueling cooldowns. They're more for
good word.
Engaging and disengaging.
She's not a dueling hero like Genji and Tracer can be. She is more of a, let me see what my team is trying to accomplish right now, and let me open opportunities for them with my hack, with my EMP, both great initiation tools and also great disruption tools for if you're really aware of what the enemy team is trying to perform, and you can hack the person who has to perform that action kind of like preemptively, you've neutered like a huge part of their strategy, and that can be so valuable. It does require some game sense. It does require you to be very aware of what your team's trying to do, of what the enemy team is trying to do. It requires you to be well positioned. It requires you to kind of be able to catch the team by surprise. And I think Sombra has the perfect kit for you to be able to do this, to just pop out in like the most awkward positions and get away with hacking certain heroes. I think that's a good skill for Sombras to master. You know, how are you gonna surprise the team now? And then the rest of the time, she, like you said, she has a really long like spray thing, so she's almost like Diva in that sense, that can stand in a certain ground and just spray at the enemy team for a while and be very disruptive. You can add a lot of like spam damage like that, and from really weird angles, really weird positions. You can you can actually join Tracers or join Genjis and support them in the high ground, or if you need to get up there really fast, you have the teleporter.
Especially the triple tanks, you got big targets, so spam away.
And I was the last thing I want to say about Sombra is that I really think that she can be really powerful against the triple tank comp, because that comp doesn't have a lot of mobility per se, and they tend to stick together a lot, which is really, really great for your EMP. And once you EMP, you neutralize a lot of what makes that comp really strong and resilient, taking out those abilities. And that's the only thing that I think makes that comp good, right? Like them being so resilient, and then on top of that, having the capability to slowly kill the enemy team. But if you take out their resilience, they're just really bad damage dealers at that point. You know what I mean? And if you have the right comp, I think you can really take advantage of that.
I wanted to add something too, mainly because like when we have a triple tank meta, right? And like, even though I'm wholeheartedly in the camp of believing that people are freaking out that Diva's going to be way too weak after they adjust her health pool here, I think she's going to be fine. She's still crazy good. But in the triple tank meta with the Roadhog changes and the Diva changes, I can very much see Zarya coming back to the forefront of auto pick in one of those two roles for Diva or for Roadhog, you know. And because of that, I think Zarya is coming back into mainstream meta at the top level, and that will most likely trickle down because, you know, like we said before, tank meta is very easy to do at all levels of play, and that's why we talk about this meta on our show a lot, because we see that meta all the way through. If you see like 2-2-2 or 3 DPS meta, that doesn't really translate very well to lower ranks because people aren't as talented on dealing damage, whereas the tank meta is just very safe. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't punish you as much. But playing Zarya and then you play a Sombra into the Zarya, like you said, Andres, it removes the shield with the EMP. And if they're running Zarya Zen or Zarya Lucio, and they happen to have those two going in, and they do Lucio engage, and then then you like go behind their Zarya and their whole team, and you break it down, or you remove sound barrier and you remove Zarya shield. It's just like that's a ton of shield. It's just like
yeah,
poof,
a ton of health that you just eliminated. Virtual health, like health that wasn't really there, but you took care of it like artificially, right? So I don't know. I think
their speed boost is going straight at your face or your team, and their whole team is engaging with that Lucio boost, and then you just got rid of it, and they're like, wait a second, we're out of position. We need to bail. And so they scatter like cockroaches in an open flame, man. Like they are in trouble. So that's the one thing I really wanted to mention, because I think that this is a forward-looking episode, not just like current triple tank, because I think triple tank is always going to be something that the meta can utilize.
Yeah,
it's not something that's going to go away very quickly, or at least initially, because we have too many people, I think, take it from the pro scene instead of experimenting. A lot of people just choose what is easy and strong at the same time.
No, I definitely agree with that. And honestly, ideally, we'll have a day in which the meta can support triple tank and 2-2-2, and can also support triple DPS, and maybe in some really weird situations, you can even do like triple support with like a Symmetra as your like third support or something like that.
Or Sombra.
And like you still like you see that happen sometimes, but right now the triple tank is kind of reigning supreme in the sense that it's kind of like the Hearthstone deck that is like the top of the meta. You know, everyone's playing that deck, and nobody kind of like wants to try the decks because they're afraid to go against that deck. And there's a lot of like taboo around it. It's like, oh, they play triple tank, so I have to play triple tank. And to be honest, the meta is gonna slowly change, especially as the changes get added and stuff. I don't think specifically we need patches to really like change everything. The patches are gonna help a little bit over time, but eventually people will crack it. And I really hope that Sombra gets a little more used. I think she is a great answer to triple tank teams. And if a Sombra strategy starts to become relevant, where you can actually counter this strategy on the regular, I think it would be really cool. Keep the meta rotating. We'll see what these changes come. The changes to the hook, the changes to Diva, and slight changes to Sombra might make this a little more viable. It might be like a little push from Blizzard. They did say that if Sombra keeps underperforming even after these changes, and after a little more while of people just, you know, getting good at her. Because remember Anna, like I always pull out Anna, and to be honest, Anna is an incredible hero, and it took a little less time for people to get good at her than they're at Sombra. And I think that Anna also provides such an important role, and Sombra, on the other hand, she was not designed to provide such a like epicentric
critical
role. Yeah, she's not that critical. She is more of an answer to certain situations, and she can be a great tool if you're using her right, but she's not like a pillar of the team like Reinhardt or Anna are. So I don't think that Blizzard wants us to have Sombra as like one of the main heroes out there, but they want us to have Sombra as an incredible answer to certain situations. And I think, for example,
the counter.
Yeah, triple tank. Sombra can be a good counter to that, and it's not like the only thing she can be good at. We'll hopefully see her evolve. And honestly, this conversation about her went super long. We're almost running out of show here, but it was a good conversation. I really had it in my mind. I wanted to get it out there, and I'm really interested to knowing your feedback, guys. What do you think about this discussion? What have you seen Sombras do? I'm interested to see like the positive things that you've seen Sombras do. Like, we've had enough complaining about her. I want to know how you've been using it. Have you seen other people use it effectively? And I want to see if you guys get out there, I can do something. And please refrain from sending flaming emails to me about like, Andres, now there's like 30 Sombras in comp right now, and it's all because you guys mentioned that Sombra was good, and they all suck. We'll see, okay, guys. I'm not saying go play Sombra in every game, but maybe be open to the idea of her.
There's a really cool video I'll give you guys as a bonus tip. I cannot remember for the life of me. I probably just saw it on the front page of Overwatch subreddit, but even though we mentioned that Sombra doesn't have a very good dueling capability, if you find yourself isolated, you can duel if you have your translocator on you. Because I watched a video where Sombra was playing on attack or defense. It was probably attack on Volskaya on point 2. She hacks the health pack in the left room after the choke, is waiting in there, gets to a dueling match with a Tracer, and throws her translocator as she's leaving and getting into the onto the health pack, obviously, and then is dueling the Tracer. So not only is she dueling the Tracer ends up getting her ultimate, and the Sombra in the middle of the duel tags the health pack, right? And then is trying to duel back and forth, crouching, strafing, all that jazz. And then she gets stuck. So what happens when the stuck thing comes on? It goes boop, 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 boom, right? Wrong. Translator comes up, and she goes boop, 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 translocate. The thing detonates when she's mid-air jumping. And so she removed the friggin' pulse bomb and then pops out translocator and deletes this Tracer. And I was like, oh my word, the plays. Like, that was so cool. So you can do some cool stuff with that translocator. And remember, and I think just because of watching that, I think that also is a key indicator that you can translocate out of other things that are movement impending, aka I think the only one that's really weird is Junkrat's Trap. I think that's the only weird one.
I haven't
tested
it with that one either. But Reaper can Wraith form. It just doesn't let you out of the thing.
It just doesn't move. Yeah. But you can also get out of Graviton Surge, just like chuck the translocator. Hopefully your Reinhardt gives you enough time with the shield in there, and you just like peace out, nerds. Like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go hack a health pack and wait for you guys to get back, stuff like that. But
we've touched a lot on like the translocator. I mean the hack, but the translocator is a great ability too. Definitely a very skillful ability with a lot of like utility. You can do a lot of things with it.
Yeah. But I think we want to get into some game settings.
Well, so I was going to say we're really running out of time of the show, and I wanted to go like a little more in depth into these. So maybe we can leave this for the next episode, and we can jump into some iTunes reviews and stuff, and not make the show too long for you guys.
Sure. Yeah, we'll probably end up editing that little section out too for you audio listeners. If you're listening to the VOD. Probably not going to do it, but we have some notes. We are going to do it at some point when you guys ask about it, so we'll get to it. But as we move forward, we're going to promote a little tournament that our console admin are doing. So Mr. Abnerd and CS. So Abnerd is our Xbox mod. CS is our top 500 who has been on the show twice for PS4. He has hit top 500, I believe, twice now. And he and Abner are putting together a console 1v1 tournament with prizes. So the short info is January 29th, high noon Pacific or 3 p.m. Eastern. This is the same for both consoles. You just need to go to your respective channel and ping or DM your admin or mod. So CS for PS4, Abner for Xbox One. And you need to sign up by this Friday. This is January the 27th. You need to sign up. Or I guess this is next Friday. I'm sorry. So next Friday, the 27th. So there are rules. Basically, we want to get 16 participants for the tournament to actually function and the prizes to go through. If not, if you don't reach that total number, we'll make some teams. They'll goof around. We'll do some other stuff. There's some best of single elims up until you get to the semis and the finals, and then it'll be best of 5 with double elims. And then if you guys get more than the 16, anyone that is a patron of the show gets priority. So regardless of how people signed up or DM the mods in timing, it's a little bit weird because we're not actually having physical signups. That's how we have to do it. But the prizes, guys, is first place is going to get $10 on your respective store. So PlayStation Network or Xbox Store is $15. And then second place, I believe, is $5. So that's only if the tournament actually takes place. But they really wanted to promote the show. This is our second week promoting it. I think we'll get maybe one more in before they actually run it. But yeah, let's go into some iTunes reviews if we have the time. Yeah, we should have time for everything here. So, Andres, why don't you let the lovely folks know at home just who gave us some iTunes reviews this week, and then we'll take turns reading one review each.
Sounds good. We got a lot of reviews this week. We got one from Pocket Mercy from the USA. We got one from Ninja Master Matt. Oh, I love that name. From Australia. Ooh, another Aussie. We got a lot of listeners from Australia. It's kind of nice. Soggy Dad from the USA. Dr. Kubu from the USA. And Raf A. Isle from the USA.
Raphael. That's
I
good.
get it. We get it. Thanks, guys. That's super awesome. It really helps the show gain some visibility and keep us up there for other people to discover and keep the community growing. It's definitely the cheapest way to support the show, and it also warms our hearts every time we read them. So even though we don't read all of them on the show, we do read all of them individually, and just know that we're listening.
Gets us right in the feels, boys.
All right.
So we got a review here for Andres to read from Dante Demon Z of the UK.
They know how to hammer down. That's how he starts. He says, #Andres Bible Thump. Oh, thanks. Thanks for sending them in. I think that's an inside joke from last episode. I have never been into shooters. I come from a competitive fighting game background. But since MKX is dead in Europe and Injustice 2 isn't out for months, I've had more time to put into my new addiction, Overwatch. I started writing for the esports team Dignitas about this game and needed inspiration, so I looked for podcasts. This is the only way to go. Extremely engaging, keeps me awake on long bus journeys, and has some good laughs. Whenever I'm doing it, I can always be more enjoyable. Sorry, whatever you're doing, it can be more enjoyable with these lads in the background. Not to mention their community is lovely, well run, and everyone should join their Discord. We recommend to casual or competitive Overwatch players, has stuff for everyone, so everyone get in here. From Dante Demons. Thanks, dude. You've really captured the essence of what we're really trying to bring here. We want to organize a discussion around Overwatch. We want to learn the game. We want to see this game for the positive things and learn how to play it to the best of our ability. We don't like complaining unless it's Roadhog's hook. In that case, complaints are completely welcomed and justified. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, join the Discord. There's a huge community over there. People are grouping up. People are talking, making friends. We got a bunch of nerds in there, or geeks, whatever you want to call it. It's like super fun.
Nerds.
I love talking to those guys because everyone in there has like the most awesome like hobbies and stuff. Like people are into like arts and crafts and coding and all this stuff. Like I've been loving meeting everyone from over there, and like they've started creating like some of their new projects. Like we have a few guys in there trying to code a bot for our Discord, which is super exciting. More on that later. I'm not gonna reveal too much things because I know that they're just in the beginning stages. But just to give you like an example of like little projects that will come up with their streaming stuff. People have started organizing tournaments in there, like the console tournament that we have coming up. So tons of engaging stuff. I definitely recommend that if you don't have it, if you don't know what Discord is, you check it out because it's the future, man. It's a great way of communicating and engaging a community.
Futures. Good old Squidward from SpongeBob for you youngins out there. We got another interview from the US. Mr. Zero says, great info, great strategies, great community. Anyone looking to better their game of Overwatch should definitely subscribe to Omnic Lab without hesitation. Robin Andres, skip the pointless fluff. Sorry.
We'll skip right to the pointless, no important stuff discussed in this.
To the pointless crap. That's why we're doing a D3 only episode April 1st. Hope half of you guys will get that joke. So we have Robin Andres skipping the pointless fluff and filler to get right to dissecting the game, not for players who are wanting to, air quotes, wing it. They are Omnic Lab, and they get right to the nitty-gritty that finds the actual ways to get better rather than rehashing the same quote unquote get to masters quick tips that you'll find in a lot of other places. Also, the Discord community is very welcoming and a great way to improve and get some games in with the passionate players that are friendly and respectful about helping each other improve. Sorry, I butchered your review. That was very great on your side, not so much on mine. You have to understand it's almost 1 a.m. and I've been up very late last 4 or 5 nights in a row.
Very eloquent on Zero's side, not as much on the delivery, so apologies for that.
Sorry. Delivery -0, man. So bad. All right, but really appreciate it. I couldn't agree more with this. Like, everything that you wrote is exactly what we're striving to do in every aspect. And it's really, like Andres said, hits me right in the feels. And I don't know. It's just something that's like, you don't feel like I don't ever really feel accomplished with the show. I just feel thankful like every time we talk about this stuff. It's like it's genuine. Like, guys, like, we're not like building the community. The community's you. So you guys are doing it. You guys are the only ones that are like tolerating, people being full and passionate. You're just like, I'm not tolerating people that aren't about the game. I'm not tolerating people that aren't, friendly and respectful. Like, we want to make the toxic community go away so that people are respectful and just like kind, because that's rare. Toxicity is easy a lot of the times.
Yeah, it's common a lot of times in our community. Not in ours. We try to keep that to a minimum.
Right. So the show is going short. We're going to stick with what we talked about when we had Skyline on here. We're going to try to just take all your options, where to find the show and where to find us, and we're just going to go whoop and just shorten it. So if you guys, we talked about Discord enough. We talked about Patreon enough. So just head over to discord.me/Omnic Lab. That's the link. Discord.me/Omnic Lab in your browsers. If you guys want to email the show questions, we still haven't had actually a lot of emails lately. So there's a good chance you can get a good question on the show very easily at omniclabpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to find any other links to the show and you're not finding them, just go to the website, omniclab.com. You should be able to find what you're looking for there. All right. That's it from us on the show. But if you want to find Andres, where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Personally, you can always find me on Twitter at iPlayGames. It's a good way to reach me, keep informed of my current projects, what I'm doing with Omnic Lab, and with stuff that is maybe not Omnic Lab, other stuff that I'm into, like music and that sort of thing. You can also find me streaming on Twitch TV/Omnic Lab with the team on occasion. We haven't done it much this week, but that will be ramping up a little more. There's a few VODs in there if you guys want to check me bash some skulls and die a couple times too. I'm in there.
Mm-hmm. If you guys want to find me, I will be hopefully joining Andres on a streaming schedule eventually. I'll go and stream when he's not on our Omnic Lab Twitch, so you guys can see it there. But if you guys want to find me on Twitter, it's just the handle on Twitter on plays.tv is not Rob. It's very easy. No, if you guys listen to Overwatchers, props to those guys. I actually got back into listening to podcasts for the first time. I listened to both of their most recent shows, and I always forget that Patrick is a part of that show. And Patrick was around when I was in high school, and I made my Twitter handle actually from Patrick. And I think it's just so funny. Some of the podcasts in the community is not Patrick and not Rob, and that's like, I got mine from him, so I feel like subservient, but at the same time, like, this is really funny for me. But if you guys like Hearthstone as well, we have a Hearthstone podcast that I run with a couple buddies of mine, and that edge of the Blizzard universe called Velen's Chosen. We talk about budget versions of decks, so you're not necessarily pay to win in the Hearthstone scene, and the community there is really great. It's a lot smaller, but a lot more family focused, I guess you could say. But we have actually some insanely big news coming this week and next week. We just planned our next show news-wise for us. So we got a big, huge announcement coming the next 2 weeks in a row for 2017 Velen's Chosen. If you guys are curious and you like Hearthstone, jump over there. Maybe you'll learn something. It's a little bit like Omnic Lab. You're always going to learn something, but at the same time, you guys are Omnics. You know what to do. This is the end of the show. Thanks for joining us on episode number 37 of the Omnic Lab with Sombra and Settings, which we'll have to change the title to Sombra Chit Chat. All right.
Settings,
so we'll see you guys.
Will come. Settings talk will come, but Sombra was important.
That's right. That's right. All right, so we'll get to it, guys. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next week. Omnic Lab out. Don't be a lab rat. Be a scientist. See ya.
Peace-a-roo.
I have nothing more to teach you. The rest you must learn for yourself. Walk in harmony, my student.
You guys are on YouTube. Like, comment, do the thing, hit the button.
Do the thing.